Good evening, brothers and sisters. I'm Richard Davis, Local 100 Vice President from App Store, and the Chair of the 2021 Black History Committee. The pandemic has prevented us from celebrating Black History in our usual gala manner at the Union Hall with hundreds of guests enjoying an evening of live performances, food, and guest speakers. Nothing can replace a good feeling and enjoyment of that kind of evening, together in solidarity at our home at the Transport Workers Union Hall in Brooklyn. But we are going to do our best. We have a few brief welcomes from leadership, as well as a video production highlighting our union's history as it intersected with the civil rights movement from our earlier days. I want to thank my brothers and sisters who work with me in the committee. They are to be commended for their work and guidance. So without further ado, let's get started.
This Black History Presentation 2021 is brought to you by the Transport Workers Union Local 100. Our past, our present, and our future. Acknowledging our contributions to TWU's thriving achievements. We dedicate this production to every person and Black leader who fought, died, and served in our fight. An important note in history, Asa Philip Randolph in 1925 organized, fought, and won an election, and then a contract with the railroads in 1937. And two, Rosa Parks, who in 1955 led an historic boycott in Montgomery, Alabama, against segregation on the city's bus system. These moments in history mark a monumental moment, especially for women and mankind.
Keep the faith, baby. As I walk the streets of the Harlems of the world, black Harlems and the white Harlems, people are depressed. They are frustrated. They are downtrodden. They see no hope. They see no tomorrows. And I say to them always, keep the faith, because God's reality.
Back in 1941, a black church minister in Harlem led thousands of bus passengers in a boycott against two private bus companies to put an end to their policy of racial discrimination. The passengers turned to the newly formed Transport Workers Union to support their cause. For, unlike the bus protests, which would engulf the Deep South 15 years later, the issue at stake was not whether the black passengers could ride on the city bus, but whether they would drive them.
I, Adam Powell, may belong to a group of people that some others may think are inferior.
In 1941, Adam Clayton Powell Jr. was a little-known church minister.
I know I'm as good, if not better, than anybody that walks the halls of Congress.
Powell was particularly outraged that the private bus companies still refused to hire black drivers and mechanics. But in 1941, this was the norm. For decades, private transit companies across the U.S. refused to hire skilled black labor.
Frank, the job was white at the time, you know.
These racist policies were enforced by many of the early labor unions who wanted skilled jobs kept for their white members only. It might seem strange then that Adam Powell would seek the support of largely white labor unions to help fight his cause. But the Transport Workers Union was part of a new wave of unionism sweeping across the USA that placed racial equality at the very heart of its mission. Led by Mike Quill, an immigrant freedom fighter from Ireland, the TWU was sick of watching transit bosses play off one race against another.
This practice was described by Louis Manning, the TWU's first black executive board member.
In 1934, discrimination reigns supreme.
The racial divide in the subways meant that the only position open to the black workers was the lowly paid porter. Determined to end this practice of job discrimination, the TWU set out to organize nearly 2,000 black porters.
In 1937, the black subway porters voted overwhelmingly to join the TWU.
Their wages more than doubled.
The color line in the subways began to fall. By 1940, black workers won their rightful access to all areas of employment across the subway system.
Creed or color, we have but one God, one aim, one destiny, that we shall never be slaves again.
Adam Powell began to see in the TWU an ally that could be trusted in his fight against the private bus lines.
Mike Quill was involved in his own fight against the bus companies and their policies of stagnant wages, no benefits, and dangerous working conditions.
And because the company's major depots were all located in Harlem, Quill knew that to prevent the use of strike breakers, he would need a strong ally in the black community. On March 10, 1941, Quill struck Omnibus and Fifth Avenue coach companies. The company threatened to break the strike.
Maybe they would try hiring staff. Maybe in this day and age they try that. Well, if they do, they have another effect coming. And I predict that this strike, instead of getting weaker, will get stronger. And we'll stay on these picket lines until the flames of hell itself will freeze over.
The picket lines held, and after 12 days, the companies were forced to negotiate. The companies offered big gains to their white workers, but they refused to budge on the pressing issue of job discrimination.
With the companies still reeling from the financial effects of the strike,
Either let us practice the democracy we are preaching, or shut up.
Adam Clayton Powell quickly organized a bus boycott in Harlem.
The month-long campaign kept 60,000 people off the buses each day.
Mike Quill publicly supported the boycott, drawing fire from some racist elements within the union's rank and file.
But Quill stood his ground. He waived the seniority rights of nearly all his white strikers, forcing the bus companies to hire black workers in record numbers.
TWU Local 100 continues its rich history of black leadership at every level across all 7 departments. Station Department, Robert Kelly. Car Equipment, Vice President Shirley Martin, the first female vice president in a male-dominated department. Map Store, Vice President Richard Davis. Moving up to our top leadership. Administrative Vice President Lenward Wishart. Stations. Recording Secretary Latanya Chris. TA Buses. And our Secretary of Treasury Earl Phillips, OA Maintenance. And now, let me present my friend and the president of TWU Local 100 out of Maintenance Away, Tony Utano.
Brothers and sisters, on behalf of the 46,000 members of TWU Local 100, I'm thrilled to take part in our Black History celebration for 2021. COVID has prevented us from having our usual Black History event at the Union Hall. In fact, last year's Black History event was the last cultural celebration we were able to have before the shutdowns. Hopefully we'll be able to return to normal in 2022 to celebrate Black history and all our great cultural events. Stay safe out there.
Lift every
Thank you, brothers and sisters, for watching our Black History Month presentation. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned about TWU history and acknowledgement of all our past Black leaders and our future leaders. Hopefully we'll see you next year at our Black History Month presentation. Thank you.